Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Teresa. Today I'm looking at the Beauty Bay Berries palette, which frustratingly only goes up to a £16, whereas the Earthy and the Midnight goes to £42. But this is the palette. I do have a tutorial of this particular look, but I'm sure what you've more kind of clicked on is the fact that I'm doing a giveaway. I know, I'm so generous. It is for this Beauty Bay Nikkie Tutorials palette. It is not out of its box, and I'm not going to take it out of its box because that is pour vous, etc. So if you want to see how I did this particular look, see what I thought of the palette, and see how to get this, then do please keep on watching. It seems that I wanted my eyes to match my pink face. I don't know what's happening. Anyways, let's just get straight into it. The eyelids are primed. I'm just taking a sort of like a liner brush, like a brow brush type thing, and I'm going into the shade Journal. And can I be 100% honest? I don't think I'm 100% over the fact that they just came out with a £16 for this. I'm like, well, not needed, but for my little brain, I wanted there to be a £42 to match the £42 of the green and like the bluey purple. And I know that's an odd way to think, but you know what? There is no judgment here. Not from me to me. But all I'm doing here is just sketching out this. Don't really know what I'm doing. I struggle a little bit with monochromatic looks, if I'm 100% honest. And my inspiration is not really here. I don't know where it's fucked off to, but there you go. Anyways, just popping that on there. Future Teresa is going to figure out how to blend. I will say the colour or the pigmentation on this is pretty darn good. The problem comes with when you're attempting to blend it, as you're going to see in a little bit. But for now, we're just going to pop that here. I don't know what I'm doing. Standard. And you can see there's still a little bit of like, I think, greeny lash glue or whatever from last time. Who knows? Don't look too closely. My skin is also crazy dry at the moment because as soon as I'm stressed, my body just kind of goes, hey, we know what's going to help you right now. How about if your skin just stages some sort of a mass mutiny? And I'm like, how? How is this helpful? And skin is like, oh, I don't know. Didn't really think this through. Like, thanks, guys. Thanks. But yeah, it's all patchy and gross. So not having the best of times with that, like just trying to like slug and stuff at the moment to get some hydration back in there. And I'm terrible at remembering to drink water. But as you can see, really decent colour on that. I'm using this brush again. I've put it through the colour switch. Don't you know, it's my favourite thing. And I'm going into the shade Rosewood. I think they've done this palette quite well in terms of like a certain amount of depth, but also ensuring that there's lighter colours as well. Like the variation is definitely there, and you can see the pigmentation on this is really pretty as well. I think what I like about this as well is that I'm probably going to end up using this as a blush palette because I've gotten really into that. And also I think there's some shades in here that I can use as a highlight, so don't be surprised if I do that. I'm just going to go back into Journal because I can see that that's gone a bit haywire. There we go. Look at you turning up to the party. You can tell I'm 32 and socially awkward because that's how I'm pronouncing party. But yeah, just back into Rosewood and just popping that on top. You can see how that almost like takes out Journal. Not in a romantic sense, but like more in a like sniper kind of sense. But you can see really good pigmentation on that. And then I'm taking the same shade again and just kind of popping it under here and kind of on top here so that I can attempt to blend them out later. I say attempt. Be honest with you lads, don't know what's happening, don't know what I'm doing. There's a lot of just faffing around. Same brush again, and I'm going into the shade Shake, which I assume is meant to like kind of allude to like a strawberry shake. I will say I was really impressed with the amount of pigmentation on this because it's a very light shade and yet it does pack quite a bit of a punch. Like I'm not unhappy with that. You can see the decent amount of like gradient on that. Yes, I am working it into my brows. I guess I do have problems. Thanks for asking. And don't worry lads, I'm not blending yet. I'm just bringing this out here as well because, look, why not? Trying to keep it relatively equal. I always attempt to make my eyes equal. Does it ever happen? No, not really. But we live in hope that one day, statistically, it has to happen, you know? And now, my beautiful friends, I'm taking a Morphe M562 and I'm going to attempt to blend. Now, this is where I was kind of saying the slight issue comes up of the shade Journal is very difficult to kind of blend without it leaving sort of patches or, well, not patches, but it stays in its original place, and it's very difficult to get that really nice kind of clean blend. But it's fine, and I am covering up a certain amount of it as well anyway, so fuck it, it's grand. I will say that I think that shade Shake is very, very good as a blendy outy shade. Again, all technical terms, you will learn this on this channel in case you didn't know that already. But yeah, you can see there, it does kind of leave a bit of a harsh line and it just doesn't blend in quite the way that you might necessarily like. So for that reason, I'm going into Shake with this brush and just popping that in there just to kind of pop it on top of there. Look, I don't know what I'm doing. Just bluff with confidence. Let's see where we're going with this one. And as you can hopefully see there, using the shade Shake does kind of help to soften it out a little bit. I'm going into Rosewood, which was the kind of second shade, and I'm going to pop that there as well in a further attempt to chill that particular shade out. But like I said, you can still see that line of where it was put down. Now that's partly just me and my shit technique. Don't copy what I do. I don't know what I'm doing. Can't even sing properly these days. And now I'm taking this same brush again and I'm going into Journal. Yeah, that's right. I am just inviting a little bit of punishment into my life, aren't I? And I'm just following along that line in the hopes that it might soften things up. Does that hope come to fruition? I don't know. You decide. Or my eyelid decides. It's more that my eyelid decides these days. You damn crazy bastard. And then going back into Shake, because I want it to at least somewhat look a bit like the other side, but let's be real, it won't. They're no longer twins, they're second cousins. Now I'm taking this same brush again and I'm just going to blend around the outside here. And again, same sort of issue in terms of kind of the way that shade Journal has a tendency to not really budge. It kind of leaves that harsh line, which is a bit annoying, but that's my own fault, so there you go. Then taking the Morphe M562 again, and I'm going into the shade Glow. And this is just such a beautiful sparkly shade, and I think I'm going to end up using it as a highlighter. It's nice and subtle when you're putting it on like this, because again, I don't want it going wapow, but this is nice, and it's subtle, and I'm here for it. I'm going to do a little bit of a cut crease, so I'll come back in a little bit. I have gotten alarmingly fast at cut creases. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm using this Zoeva 238 and I am going into the shade Bubblegum. Now this again is really nice and pigmented. It's exactly what we would expect off of Beauty Bay. Do they do good delivery? No, but my god, do they do a good eyeshadow? Arg. And that is the zombie noise from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, in case you're wondering. But yeah, you can see really, really good pigmentation on that. Super, super happy with that. I think they've done this really, really well. Okay, so we have a little bit of fallout, but nothing major. I'm going in with a different Zoeva 238, and this time I'm going into the shade Macaron, which I do know is different to a macaroon. And that's about the extent that I know that it is different to a macaroon. I think the only thing that I find annoying about me doing this look is I have a MAC paint pot, which I really, really like. It works well with my skin tone, or not skin tone, but skin texture. But my problem is this is the palest that I could get it here in Ireland. And I've had a few people, Wilma included, being like, why don't you use, is it Silent Whisper? And I'm like, because I can't fucking get it here. And I feel like if I had a whiter paint pot, it would make things a bit easier. But there you go. we had 800 years of oppression or something along those lines, and now we can't even get a fucking paint pot. It's very difficult, you know. Thus, these are the trials and tribulations of an Irish woman. But there you can see it's a really, really nice shade. It's almost like a strawberry red. I really like that. I think it was very aptly named in terms of it being like a berries palette. And now another Zoeva 238. Yes, I do have a lot of them. And I'm going into the shade Lilo. And man, is this pigmented. Like, look at that. I think what they've done really well here is, even though it is like a monochromatic palette, they haven't ended up like repeating shades, which is kind of unfortunately something that does happen from time to time in monochromatic palettes, but I feel like this was edited really quite well, so I'm not unhappy with this one. Again, you can see, look at that amount of pigmentation. Now, I always have a problem up around here, mostly on the other eye, because I have like a scar, so kind of product never sits well like there. It's a bit of a pain, but you know, such is life. And now I'm taking another Zoeva 238 and I'm going back into the shade Macaron. So I'm kind of, I don't know, gradienting it. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I'm using the Zoeva 238 to go back into Bubblegum, which was the shade just on the inner corner. And I'm just popping that out here with reckless abandon. That's right. I mean, the pigmentation on that, you do have to admit, is pretty darn good. I get a bit annoyed, you know, with big brands, you know, like expensive brands, you know, and their like palettes are crazy expensive. And then I look at like Beauty Bay, and as shit as their like fucking shipping is, they can do a really darn good quality formula that blends generally pretty well and doesn't break the bank. And now I'm taking a Morphe M562 and I am just swooshing it between these because, you know, why not? And again, they do actually blend pretty well. I do at times do the lazy route and take the two shades that I'm attempting to blend together and just pop them onto like the brush, because I mean, who has time to sit and like blend for 5 years? Not me. I don't know why I keep like pulling out 5 years as the example, but in my head that's the amount of time that it feels like it takes to blend things out. So I mean, you can see there though, that has blended really quite well. I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do though is take the Morphe M562 and I'm going to go into Bubblegum just here and swoosh it out like that. That's right. Love this Morphe M562. Oh, I love it. If you don't like Morphe or don't want to support Morphe, then Blank Canvas E10 is a good dupe of that, and it's an Irish company. So just as an FYI, don't think you care, but sure, fuck it. I'm telling you anyway. I'm taking this melt brush. I really like it for like attempting to blend out larger areas like this, because this is where I really need it. Blend, baby, blend. But you can see they do actually mesh quite nicely together. And am I bringing it onto the lid? Why not? Bit of reckless abandon in there. Why not? And I'm also going to blend down here where kind of I've put the shade Journal, just to kind of mesh it in a little bit further. And then I'm going in with that liner brush back into Journal, just to kind of accentuate where it had been. And I will be blending it out again, because fuck it, why not? Mostly I'm doing this because I did it on the other eye, and I can't do one eye differently to the other. I'm sorry, it's just, I struggle. It has to be at least semi-symmetrical. Not fully, because I'm a human and I'm not able to do symmetry. Not with my shit eyesight. And I'm just going to take this brush again, a Morphe M562, and I'm going to blend it up here. And actually I think I'm going to take a bit of Journal, because why not? And just swooshy swooshy, swooshy smooshy. Ugh. Do you know, I just wish I'd had a YouTuber like myself when I was growing up. I'd have learned so much. I'm now taking the Morphe M562 and I'm going into Rosewood, which, in case you don't know, it looks like that. And I'm just kind of bringing it down here and just swishing it back and forward, and then also kind of bringing it up there. And then I'm using that melt brush again and just lazily going backwards and forwards. And I'll take a little bit of Journal, because why not? But you can see journal is a little bit trickier to blend in that it does just kind of want to stay where it was put. So keep that in mind. Like if you are attempting to blend, it can be really tricky to do that. I then took my NYX silicone applicator and I put it into soda. And I just kind of popped it on top here. Now, I normally would use like a glitter primer, but I didn't want this to kind of overpower the shades that were already there. Hence why I did it this way. See, there's semi kind of logic to whatever the fudge it is I'm doing over here. But this, look at how pigmented that is. Because I am just dabbing that on really gently. You really get quite a nice kind of sheen. I'd say this would look beautiful even just by itself. Like, they know what they're doing. I hate to say it, but they do. And then I'm taking a Morphe M562 and I'm just sweeping across there just to disperse it so it's a little bit less kind of haphazard. And now I'm taking the other side of the silicone applicator and I'm going into Jula. Now this one I thought wasn't fantastic. If you do blend it out kind of by itself, it gets a little bit muddy. So that's why I've kind of put it on top of journal. So wasn't wowed by this particular one. It almost kind of ends up a little bit grayish. Like nothing to like get annoyed about, but just definitely not the strongest shadow out of them. And then taking that melt brush and just swishy. And now I'm just taking this Morphe kind of smudging brush and I'm going into the shade Loyalty. And I'm just kind of bringing that down here under the lash line. And again, you can see really decent pigmentation on this. I do just have this like on top of concealer, just FYI. And then I'm going into Macaron and just popping a teeny tiny bit of that there, nothing major though. And then finally going into Bubblegum. So you can see again, really good pigmentation on that there. Like I don't have to work with that, which is nice because I'm lazy. Then a Morphe M562 and I'm just gonna swish around here. So I'm quite happy with that. It's pretty simple to use. I'm gonna finish off the rest of my eyes. I'm also gonna use this palette, I think, to do a little bit of like blush and highlight, etc. So I'll come back, tell you what I used and tell you what I think of the palette overall. Okay, so I decided I'd like go full out and what I did was use the shade Doll here as a blush because I figured it was light enough for my very pale skin tone and I couldn't resist but go into the shade Cloud as a highlight, and I think it's really nice because there's almost like a green sort of a tinge to it and I'm kind of here for it. I used some LA Splash kind of goldy liners. They're almost dried up, which is a bit annoying. And they're expensive, but whatever. I will zoom you in now so you can see the finished eye look. Did I put on too much blush? Don't know. Hard to tell. Yeah, I mean, it's a monochromatic eye look. I do think there is enough kind of variation in the shades that are there to make it worthwhile. And I know I'm a bit annoyed about it being only a £16 when the other two are £42. But that being said, I don't really see what they could add into this to kind of make it that bit better. Like, I think it actually worked pretty well. So, if you can't tell, I actually really enjoyed this palette. It is what I would associate with Beauty Bay. Great blendability, really great shimmers, fantastic mattes. The colour story makes an awful lot of sense. There's a lot of depth there, but there's also enough kind of light shades there to like blend stuff out. I think the only thing that I was a bit about was this particular shade and this shade. So these two shades didn't kind of work as well as I would have liked. They do work, you just have to kind of keep at them. So that being said, I would give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. I thought this was really good and I really like it as an additional blush / highlight palette, so I'm kind of here for that. But if you're interested in getting to know how you can win this particular palette, the Nikkie Tutorials palette, all you have to do is like, comment and subscribe. Make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. That's it, that's literally it. That is as incredibly difficult as it gets. So when you're commenting down below, you can leave your Instagram handle. Don't leave the @ because YouTube chucks it out for whatever reason. That way I can contact you if you win. But that is it. That is the whole kit and caboodle. Do please like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more videos and if you want to win this. Turn on that notification bell so you can see more whatever is going on over here, and do please share because sharing is caring, unless of course it's an STD, in which case, you know, wrap it up, don't be gross. But that's it, that's the end of the video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.